Hey guys, what's going on? It is David here. We are back with another video. Now in this video, guys, I wanted to talk to you about a particular NASCAR driver that is been in the recent discussions. A couple of weeks ago, there was a driver that ended up leading the first laps and becoming the first ever official woman to lead laps at a Daytona race, and that is Natalie Decker. Now when it comes to Natalie Decker, she is a part-time Xfinity Series driver, and I would say part-time Truck Series driver, that had one full season in Truck Series when she was racing for Nice Motorsports back, I believe, back around 2020, around that time, where I think it was 2019 actually. And Natalie Decker is still to this day the highest finishing Truck Series driver for a woman, finishing 5th in the Daytona opening race, I believe in 2020 or 2019, or it's around there. It's been a couple years. But I also want to give props for Natalie Decker for, obviously, as I said at the beginning of the video, being the first woman to lead laps in a NASCAR Xfinity Series race for Daytona just a couple of weeks ago. But what I want to discuss when it comes today is where do I see Natalie Decker heading into the future? Because I'll be honest, if it's going to come down to you making deals last minute, and I know she doesn't want to do that because I've seen her YouTube videos where she's like, I don't want to have this always be the thing. I want to I want to be in the race car as much as possible. I do understand that, but you also got to realize that outside of the Daytona races, what has she really done to deserve or earn a ride that is full time? Daytona is Daytona. We all know as long as you have a good car and you have a good amount of speed, anybody can win a Daytona. Legit, anybody can win a Daytona. If you manage to stay out and you have just a perfect car enough to be there right at the end, anybody can win Daytona, anybody can lead laps at Daytona. That's why Daytona and Talladega are famous for the amount of lead changes that they have. They have about 60, 70 lead changes every single race that happens. So it's going to happen no matter what. What I want to see from Natalie Decker is her go into a mile-and-a-half race. Particularly, I don't know what the mile-and-a-half races that are coming up, but I would love to see her one of the next mile-and-a-halves. If she does get a ride, I would love to see her at a mile-and-a-half. Because this is the one thing I want to point out really quickly. When it comes to my video, the last video I made when it came to NASCAR was talking about Hailie Deegan. Now, people were talking about Hailie Deegan's currently 31st in standings. Also got to realize, she's had 3 finishes that weren't her fault. 1, she ran out of fuel due to her team the way the strategy was working out, and unfortunately did not go her way. 2, she had electrical issues this past weekend at Richmond. And then 3, in the opening race, she got caught up in the wreck that wasn't even her fault. So if Hailie Deegan's 31st in standings, that's not really her fault. I want to see Hailie Deegan do well. I want to see Natalie Decker do well. But I'm gonna just go based off of this and my personal preference. I just believe that Hailie Deegan still has more potential than Natalie Decker. Because one reason why I will keep mentioning it is social media. Sponsors especially in these days nowadays, sponsors are going to look at the way you handle yourself on social media. Yes, Hailie Deegan does upload on YouTube, and yes, Natalie Decker has started uploading on YouTube, but you gotta realize what Hailie Deegan really uploads on YouTube, half of the stuff is with her family, and then half of the stuff is about the races. And the way she handles herself on social media, especially Instagram, half her things is either brand deals or just things talking about the races. She has some interaction with her fans in the comments some of the times that I've seen. But the one reason I just don't see that Natalie Decker is going to get a full-time sponsorship is the way she handles herself on social media. One of the things I wanted to talk about a couple weeks ago when it came around Daytona, about a month or 2 ago, when it came to Daytona, or before Daytona, she was talking about her former sponsor does N29 Management. And N29 is currently right now sponsoring Kaz Grala every time Kaz Grala is in Rick Ware Racing. But the main point of what I wanted to talk about is when it came to the clash, the N29 car was on Kaz Grala's car. And there was a guy that commented oh, how come N29 isn't on your car? Natalie Decker responded by saying, there's a lot of snakes in the sport, and I'm not the first person to get their sponsorships stolen. My personal, if I had to look at that and I see, okay, you're just accusing a driver of stealing a sponsorship, you're accusing the sponsorship of leaving your team and being just leaving you high and dry, just because they were sponsoring you for the amount of times that you were in the Truck Series. I just want to say this also. sponsors can leave whenever they want. Look at everybody thought that M&M's would be in NASCAR for as long as they want. They decided to leave when they wanted to, and they left. Sponsorships can end. It happens. Look what happened with Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is expected to get an Oracle deal. They pulled out because they stuck with Red Bull and Formula One. Sponsorships can stay and unite and partnerships whenever they want to. They're not required to stay with you throughout the whole history of your your career. That is the reason why they went to Kaz Grala, who has cup experience, Xfinity experience, multiple full-time seasons in the different series, and not only forget that, when he filled in for Richard Childress at one point a couple of years ago, he got a top 10 in his debut in Richard Childress equipment. That's going to be a big thing for a team, for a sponsor like N29 Management to get their brand out there. And when it came to the Clash, if it wasn't for the practice, be an only opportunity to have him make it into the show, N29 would have been in the Clash. And considering the amount of people that watch the Clash, it's just absolutely amazing. And then the last race that Kaz Grala was in, he was running top 10, top 15 with N29 on the car. That's going to be a lot of big opportunities for their sponsorship to get out there. And if it comes to it that Kaz Grala done enough, maybe they'll give him a full-time sponsorship for the 2025 season. I'm just pointing this out for the simple reasons that you can't go out there and make accusations like a sponsorship being stolen, when you also got to realize that sponsorships do not have to stay with you based off of how you're doing. Natalie Decker, Truck Series career, one season with a good top 5 finish. That's really all I gotta say about her Truck Series career. Her Xfinity Series career has been a lot of back marker teams, and she's done okay in that sense, a lot of top 30 finishes, around top 25, top 30. But in all honesty, to the simple point of where Natalie Decker is in the future, I just don't see her becoming anything more than a part-time driver. And if that's what she wants, then fair enough for her. But for the people that compare Natalie Decker to Hailie Deegan and say that Hailie Deegan is also bad, you also got to realize Hailie Deegan, no matter what has happened to her through the ARCA series, the ARCA West series, she has always carried herself well on social media, and she has always carried herself somewhat well on the track. And that is the reason why she has a deal with A&M Racing. That's the reason why she has a deal with Ford still. If she wasn't keeping herself well on track or on social media, best believe me, she wouldn't have a sponsor or she wouldn't have a deal with Ford in terms of development. And the way things are going with Ford right now, there's a possibility that she may even be moving up to a bigger or a better team in the future if she does well this season. I'm going to look out for how Natalie Decker and Hailie Deegan perform this season, and then at the end of the season, I'll be able to make another video talking about these two. But until then, this is going to be my last video about Natalie Decker or Hailie Deegan, unless something comes out in the news, like one of them has gotten involved in an incident or something like that. But I want to know your guys' opinions down in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys all next time.